Today, we're going to look at two ancient stories that, at first glance, couldn't be more different. One's all about a sudden, shocking noise, and the other is about a long, patient quiet. But believe it or not, when you put them together, they teach this one single, incredibly powerful lesson about what it really means to have the courage to act.
I mean, it's a question we all wrestle with, right? When is the right time to be brave? When a problem is just starting, when it's still small and quiet, is it, I don't know, too early to make a fuss? And then, when it's loud and obvious to everyone, is it already too late? Well, these stories give us a way to think about that exact problem.
And they do it through two really powerful symbols. On one side, you've got a drum of warning. Think of it as an instrument for telling a hard truth, right now, disruptively. And on the other side, a seed of inheritance. This is all about quiet, long-term care for a future you might not even see. So two totally different actions, but both are driven by the exact same kind of courage.
Okay, so in both of these parables, the trouble doesn't kick off with some big disaster. Not at all. It starts quietly. In one story, it's a lie, a whisper that starts to poison a whole community. And in the other, it's just a patch of land, silently waiting for someone to care for it.
So let's picture this first village. There's a midwife, right? Everyone trusts her, everyone respects her. But then a rumor starts, just a whisper, a story that she poisoned a child. Now, it isn't true, but that almost doesn't matter. It spreads like a sickness from house to house until that fear starts to make the lie feel like the truth. At the same time, in our second story, the crisis is way quieter. It's a crisis of neglect. It's just this piece of land, totally barren, just baked by the sun year after year. There's no immediate danger. Nobody's being accused of anything. The problem is simply that nothing is being done for the generation to come. No shade, no fruit, just empty potential.
And this is where both stories pivot. It's the moment someone decides to do something. And what's so fascinating is that in both cases, their choice is completely unpopular. It goes against everything everyone else is thinking and doing. It's a lonely, tough decision.
So back in the first village, a young girl named Asha knows the truth. She actually saw what happened. But when she tries to tell people, she gets shut down everywhere she turns. The elders say, be patient. The merchants say, you're too young to know. Even her own mother warns her to just stay silent. She is totally alone with this truth.
And her mother's warning, wow, it is just chilling. This village does not forgive those who speak too loudly. That just perfectly shows you the risk, doesn't it? The danger wasn't about being wrong. The real danger was in disrupting the community's false sense of peace. The danger was in being loud.
And this is so important to remember. Asha's big, dramatic action, it wasn't her first move. Not even close. She played by the rules, she went to the elders, she spoke to the powerful men in the market, she even tried to reason with her own mom. The system failed her at every single step. It was only when every other door was slammed in her face that she walked toward the drum. Okay, so now let's jump to our second story. The unpopular choice here looks completely different. We meet an old woman, Manaru. Her choice isn't to fight a lie. It's to do something that everyone else thinks is, well, pointless. Every single evening, she goes out and plants little tree seedlings on that barren land, while all her neighbors just kind of stare, confused. And eventually, a child asks the question that's on everybody's mind. Why do you plant trees you will never sit under? You see, that question says it all. It perfectly represents the village's short-sightedness. They only see value in things that give you an immediate personal reward. But Manaru, she's working on a totally different timeline.
So, we have two unpopular choices. One is loud, the other is quiet. And now we finally get to see the payoff. We get to see the profound, long-lasting impact of these two single acts of courage. Asha strikes the drum. That one forbidden sound just shatters the morning silence. It forces everyone out into the open, and it drags that lie out into the daylight where it just can't survive. And the most important part is this. She acted before the anger turned into violence, before it was too late.
And this brings us to the core lesson from her story. Waiting for danger to become loud is itself a dangerous choice. See, doing nothing is still a choice. And patience, when a poison is spreading, isn't a virtue. It's actually a gamble. Now, let's look at Mananuru's legacy. Years go by. She's gone, but her work isn't.
Those little seedlings she planted are now tall, strong trees. They give shade to travelers, they give fruit to kids who have absolutely no idea who to thank for it. Her act of care lived on. And the lesson from her life is just as powerful. It's this beautiful idea that a life is not short when its care outlives its breath. Her impact wasn't measured by what she received in her lifetime, but by what she gave to a future she would never, ever see. Her legacy was the shade she grew for others. So, let's pull these two incredible ideas together. You have one woman who acts to protect the immediate truth of the present, and another who acts to make sure the future is healthy. They're both practicing this kind of radical care. And when you put the two lessons right next to each other, the connection just clicks into place, doesn't it? Asha teaches us act before a quiet problem becomes a loud crisis. Manuru teaches us act now for problems whose worst effects are still far off. One is about protection, the other is about preparation. You could call this whole idea proactive care. And it's really the courage to do two things at once. To have the guts to sound the alarm on the quiet problems of today, and also to have the patience to plant the seeds for the unseen needs of tomorrow. It's being willing to be both the drum and the tree. And that really brings the whole lesson right back to us, to you. These ancient stories leave us with a very modern, very personal challenge. I mean, look around your own world, your community, your life. What quiet lie needs the sound of a drum right now? And what barren ground is just waiting for you to plant a tree? What will your courage look like?